This is Grammar and Composition 802B, and this part will go over capitalization rules, rules 2 through 6. So remembering capitalizing, we talked about in rules 1 were proper nouns. And again, a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea, and a proper noun means that it's specific to that particular noun. So in rule number 2, it states that we will capitalize titles of people. So, for instance, President Truman, Governor West, King Ahab, specific titles of people. Now, if you're not referring to a specific title or a specific person, such as the Governor of Florida, we aren't saying his name. We're just saying where he's from. He's the governor of Florida. Governor is then not proper and therefore will become lowercase. The king of Israel. Israel obviously is we've just already established that it is a proper noun, but the king is not being specific to an actual person. So therefore the king is going to be lowercase. The only exception to this rule is when it comes time for President Truman. When you say the President of the United States, the President is still going to be capitalized. But other than that, if it's not being specific to an actual person, we are going to lowercase it. But if we put it with an actual name, we are making sure that we know that that is Governor West. Therefore, it will become proper and we will capitalize it. Family relationships, so like Uncle Anthony, Aunt Laura, if you are being specific, if you're saying mother told me to go to the store, you're saying you are being specific to the mother, or father died at the age of 82. The only thing is if you put the word my in front of it. So for instance, my mother told me to go to the store. You are going back to yourself. You're telling it's about you, your mother. Therefore, it's not being specific to the actual mother. Therefore, it will be a lowercase m. Same thing for father. Instead of father died at age 92, you could say my father died at age 92. So again, you're going back to you, yourself. So therefore, father is not, you're not talking about the specific father. Therefore, F will be lowercase. Or if you say my uncle, my aunt. Now, you do not capitalize if they are preceded by a possessive noun. So which is what that is. Unless it's the title as part of their name. So if you say my Uncle Anthony, if you still put Uncle Anthony because that's what you call him, you say my Uncle Anthony took me to the zoo. Uncle is still going to be capitalized. Or my Aunt Laura went shopping with me, right? We're still being specific to that person. Aunt, you would call her Aunt Laura, therefore that is still acceptable. But you wouldn't call, your mother my mother, or if you said, my cousins, we met my cousins for lunch, or we met my cousin for lunch. You would say it would be a lowercase c, but if you were being specific to a name, you wouldn't say we met my cousin Mary for lunch. You don't call her cousin Mary, you just call her Mary. Therefore, the C will be lowercase as well. Moving on to rule 3. Rule number 3 says that we capitalize the titles of works. So you're going to capitalize the first and last words and all important words in titles of books, magazines, newspapers, poems, stories, plays, and works of art. So the globe for the space age. So we've capitalized the first letter, right? And it happens to be D, so it's the first letter or first word though, so we're gonna capitalize D. Globe is going to be an important word in this title, so we're going to capitalize that. For and the, they aren't that important, so we don't have to capitalize those. Space age is going to be capitalized. So look for those little words and making sure that we're not actually capitalizing those. But other than that, and it doesn't, if it ends in a small word, it normally wouldn't, but for some reason it does, we will capitalize that as well. Rule number 4 says that we are going to capitalize the first word of every sentence, and this is including quoted sentences. So if you say, she said, and then comma, and then quotations, whatever she said is starting a new sentence within what she had said, so therefore we're going to capitalize that first word of the quoted section as well. Rule number 5, capitalize the pronoun I and the interjection O. And making sure that we understand that there's a difference between the interjection O and when we say, oh my, like O-H. There's a difference between the interjection O and then the word O-H-O. So for instance, unto the oh my strength, I will sing. Again, capitalizing the letter I when referring to yourself. Rule number 6, the last rule, says that we are going to capitalize the first word in every line of poetry. And this means whether or not the word begins with a sentence, begins as a new sentence. So if you are writing a poem and you start a new line, it doesn't matter if it's in the middle of a sentence or not, we're going to capitalize that first word of the new line. And so these are rules 2 through 6, and that concludes our capitalization section of this unit. And so there will be worksheets and activities that will go along with these rules.